June 28, 1969, Greenwich Village, New York City. In the early hours of the morning, something extraordinary happened at a small bar called the Stonewall Inn, an event that would ignite a global movement for LGBTQ rights. The Stonewall Inn was more than just a bar. It was a haven for the marginalized, a place where the LGBTQ community, often shunned by society, could be themselves. But in the 1960s, being openly gay was not just taboo, it was illegal in many parts of the United States. Police raids on gay bars were common, part of the broader oppression and discrimination faced by the LGBTQ community. But on that June night, the patrons of the Stonewall Inn had had enough. As police began their raid, something different happened. Instead of dispersing, the crowd fought back. What followed was a series of spontaneous, violent demonstrations by the LGBTQ community against the police raid and the broader systemic oppression. These protests, known as the Stonewall Riots, marked a significant turning point in the fight for LGBTQ rights. To grasp the significance of the Stonewall Riots, it's crucial to understand the social and political climate of the United States in the decades leading up to 1969. The 1950s and 60s were times of conformity, with rigid gender roles and a conservative view of sexuality. During this era, homosexuality was deemed a criminal offense in most states, and LGBTQ individuals faced persecution and severe penalties. Anti-gay sentiment was widespread, fueled by government and media that portrayed homosexuality as a dangerous, deviant lifestyle. In this hostile environment, gay bars and clubs like the Stonewall Inn emerged as crucial sanctuaries. They were places of refuge where the community could socialize freely, albeit clandestinely. However, these establishments were frequently targeted by police, leading to raids, arrests, and public humiliation. The Stonewall Inn, owned by the mafia, was notorious for its diverse clientele and was a well-known gathering spot in Greenwich Village. Despite the constant threat of police action, it provided a sense of community and belonging to those who were often ostracized elsewhere. As the 1960s progressed, the civil rights and anti-war movements were challenging the status quo, setting the stage for a new era of resistance. Amid this backdrop of social upheaval, the LGBTQ community at Stonewall was ready to make a stand that would spark a revolution. The spark that ignited the Stonewall Riots occurred in the early hours of June 28, 1969. On this night, police raided the Stonewall Inn, a routine action that was about to take an unexpected turn. As police started arresting patrons and employees, a crowd began to gather outside. Tensions escalated quickly. Unlike previous raids, the patrons of Stonewall, fed up with constant harassment and discrimination, began to resist. The resistance turned into a full-blown protest. Chants filled the air as the crowd grew in number and determination. The raid, which was meant to suppress and intimidate, instead became a catalyst for collective action. Over the next several days, the demonstrations grew in intensity and size. The LGBTQ community, along with their allies, came out in force, demanding an end to the oppression and discrimination they had long endured. These protests were marked by a newfound sense of solidarity and empowerment. As the dust settled after the Stonewall Riots, it was clear that something significant had changed. The riots had a galvanizing effect on the LGBTQ community, not just in New York, but across the United States and eventually around the world. In the wake of Stonewall, LGBTQ activism accelerated. New organizations were formed, such as the Gay Liberation Front and the Gay Activists Alliance, with a focus on more radical and confrontational tactics than before. These groups sought not just tolerance, but full equality for LGBTQ individuals. Within a year of the riots, on June 28, 1970, the first gay pride marches took place in New York, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, commemorating the anniversary of Stonewall. These events were a powerful demonstration of the community's unity and strength, and they have since evolved into annual celebrations of pride and resistance across the globe. The Stonewall Riots marked a turning point in the fight for LGBTQ rights. They challenged the long-standing acceptance of discrimination and violence against LGBTQ people and inspired a new generation of activists to fight for change. The legacy of Stonewall is a testament to the power of collective action and the importance of standing up against injustice. It taught us that change, often sparked by moments of defiance, can lead to lasting transformation. More than half a century later, the Stonewall Riots remain a symbol of resistance and a pivotal moment in the LGBTQ rights movement. Their legacy extends far beyond those nights in 1969, continuing to inspire and empower generations. Since Stonewall, significant strides have been made in the fight for equality. From the decriminalization of homosexuality to the recognition of same-sex marriage in numerous countries, each victory is a step forward in the journey that Stonewall set in motion. Today, Stonewall is more than just a historical event. It's an enduring reminder of the ongoing struggle for LGBTQ rights. It challenges us to continue fighting against discrimination and to stand up for the rights of all individuals to live authentically and openly. While significant progress has been made, the journey is far from over. The spirit of Stonewall lives on as LGBTQ communities around the world face ongoing challenges, fighting for full acceptance and equality in all aspects of life. The Stonewall Riots didn't just change the LGBTQ movement, they changed society. They sparked a global conversation about human rights, diversity, and acceptance, inspiring people of all backgrounds to advocate for a world where everyone can be themselves without fear or apology. As we reflect on the legacy of the Stonewall Riots, it's clear that their message transcends time and place. The courage and defiance exhibited on those nights in 1969 continue to resonate, fueling the fight for equality and acceptance in every corner of the world. In the years since Stonewall, we have witnessed remarkable progress in the pursuit of LGBTQ rights. Yet the journey is far from over. Around the globe, LGBTQ individuals still face discrimination, inequality, and violence. The spirit of Stonewall reminds us that every step towards justice, no matter how small, is part of a larger, ongoing struggle for a more inclusive and equitable world. The Stonewall Riots stand as a powerful testament to the impact of standing up against injustice. They remind us that change often starts with acts of bravery by ordinary people, united in their demand for respect and human rights. As we honor the past, we also look forward to a future where everyone, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity, can live freely and openly. The story of Stonewall is not just a chapter in history. It's a continuing call to action for all of us to stand up for equality, dignity, and love.